Hello and welcome to my channel, or welcome back to my channel. Hope everyone is doing well. Today I am going to be reading you 4 true ghost stories from the Haunted Canada series. If I pronounce anything wrong, I do apologize. The Woman at the Window, Regina, Saskatchewan. The house at 1800 College Avenue in Regina is at the east end of a row of century-old buildings that the city would like to see preserved. But the house doesn't just capture the flavor of Regina's architectural past. If you believe many of the stories about the place, it also appears to have captured a spirit from the past, a ghost named Rose. Over the years, there were reports of Rose being spotted looking out from a window and drifting along hallways upstairs. She was also blamed for turning lights on and off and for mysteriously breaking into song. Back in the late 1990s, a man named Trevor Lane moved into the house. After 3 years, he converted his home into a popular spot called Megaland's Global Coffee House, which he ran for another 3 years. During his 6 years in the building, Lane kept an eye out for Rose, but he never encountered her. No one in the Sneath family had met her either, and they had lived there from the 1920s to the 1980s. Lane found this out when he decided to investigate various stories about a woman dying in the house, and learned that they weren't true. No one drowned in a water tank on the property. It never had a cistern. A nanny rumored to have killed herself by taking a dive out a third-floor window. It had in reality moved on to enjoy life in Calgary. And there had never been a serious fire in the house. No one had burned to death there either. Another possible explanation given for Rose's haunting presence. But one worker at the coffee house didn't really care what the ghost name was, or why it might call 1800 College Avenue home. All she knew was that she had seen it 3 times, a mysterious woman in a wedding dress, and once, much to her shock, the bride had walked past a window overlooking the street, a window on the 2nd floor. Another staff member was upset when she was alone in the kitchen and the dough mixer turned itself on, and another woman waitressing there had an alarming story to tell. She was making her way toward the tables when someone began to move toward her. Closer and closer the person came, directly in her path, until it passed right through her. The terrified waitress reported that what had happened and then promptly quit her job, hurrying out of Megalands without ever looking back. By 2006, the building was home to a computer-related business, and no one was publicly reporting any eerie encounters there. But there are still a few people in Regina who scan the upper floors as they pass in front of 1800 College Avenue, just in case the specter of a woman is looking down on them. The Talking Statue, Burlington, Ontario. An 85-year-old bronze statue of World War I soldier stands atop a granite cenotaph beside Burlington City Hall. The statue is similar to many others erected through the country. Together, the other monuments and plaques bearing the names of members of Canada's war dead. They are often the focus of special ceremonies held each year on November 11th, Remembrance Day. However, there were times when some of the people who gathered near the Burlington statue to honor the sacrifices of war found themselves paying more attention to the statue than the ceremonies. But that's understandable. Who wouldn't be distracted by seeing a statue move its hands or by hearing it speak? Stories about the statue being haunted date back before the end of World War II, and the stories have followed it on its moves from Lakeside Park overlooking Burlington Bay to a traffic island on Lakeshore Boulevard, and after major additions to City Hall were completed in 1986, to the new Civic Square on Brant Street. Over the years, in each location, as people stood in silence around the statue on Remembrance Day, they reported hearing the sounds of sergeants giving orders and soldiers marching. Several times, individuals heard one particular voice calling out, "My name is Alfred." That voice seemed to be coming from the statue. A few others heard the mysterious voice add, "I lived a hero and I died a hero." But perhaps most disturbing of all are the reports that the bronze soldier shifts his hands as he grips the barrel of the rifle on which he leans, that his lips move, and that every now and then he opens his eyes. Among the names of the war dead listed on the Burlington Cenotaph is that of Alfred Edward Johnson, Veterans Affairs Canada's records indicate that a soldier by the name died in action on August 19, 1942. Johnson from Burlington was one of 197 members of the Royal Hamilton Light Infantry Brigade who were hit by German machine gun fire as they stormed the main beach of Dieppe, France, on that date. His body, along with those of his brave comrades, is buried in the Dieppe Canadian War Cemetery far away in France. Some local residents think that it is Johnson's ghost that haunts the statue on the Civic Square, and not just during memorial service. Rumor has it that the bronze soldier also moves at a time when many other specters make appearance, under cover in darkness at the midnight hour. A Ghost in the Aisle, Calgary, Alberta. Years ago, a ghostly soldier similar to the bronze figure standing in Burlington Civic Square made several appearances in Calgary. In the theater at the city's Centennial Planetarium, now part of the TELUS World as Science Complex, Sam, as the Phantom came to be known, was dressed in the uniform of a World War I soldier. He would suddenly materialize in the theater, walk around for a period of time, then quickly disappear as mysteriously as he had arrived. Staff and visitors alike reported seeing him, and some spoke of him following them for a few seconds. Others simply felt his presence as spots in the building became unusually chilly, and a few people smelled the scent of his shaving lotion. It's been a long time since Sam was last spotted at the planetarium, but some of the staff who used to work there remember him fondly, and not with fear. However, a few other workers didn't wait around for the Phantom Soldier to stop making his spooky appearances. They bid him a not-so-fond farewell, quitting their jobs and finding employment elsewhere in a less scary, ghost-free environment. The Phantoms of Opera House, Orillia, Ontario. No one has seen the ghosts that haunt the Gordon Lightfoot Auditorium at the century-old Opera House in Orillia. Unlike Sam at the Planetarium Theatre in Calgary, these spirits prefer to remain invisible, but they don't remain silent. One loves to play the grand piano. No one knows whether it's male or female, but every now and then when the auditorium is empty, its haunting tunes fill the air. Its presence has frustrated technical staff who have heard the melodies, usually sad ones, drifting toward them as they work elsewhere in the building. No matter how quickly they rush into the auditorium to catch the piano-playing culprit, the music stops the instant they show up, and they never find anyone seated at the instrument on stage. A few workers have been upset enough by their encounters with the invisible keyboard player that they avoid being alone in the place, especially late at night, a time the Phantom prefers to give its performances. There have been reports of other spooky specters performing in the auditorium late at night. Again, the performers were invisible, but they definitely weren't quiet. A blast of cold air coming from the orchestra pit announced their presence, followed by the sounds of laughter, clapping, and shouts of "Bravo!" It's also if any invisible theater troupe were taking a curtain call before a very appreciative audience, but there were no actors on stage, and the seats where the applauding audience should be were all empty. Thank you for listening. If you like this type of content, please consider subscribing and liking my channel, and I will see you on the next one.